Okay, so this whole ProJared's story has been a bit of a thing. It's been a bit of a big thing. Not as big as the James Charles Toddy Westbrook story, but still big in its own right. Predominantly because of what Jared here has been accused of. Now, listen, I don't really care about his marriage. I don't care that it had been dissolving for a while. It should have been something that was handled privately. He probably should not have posted that thing on Twitter and then blocked his ex from seeing it. People were saying that he divorced his wife on Twitter. They had separated back in February based upon what I read. I'm sure she knew that it was coming. On May 13th, he had filed for divorce. So she knew these things were happening. So there's a little bit of misinformation on that from what I can gather. But that being said, what followed was brutal. It was brutal. And it was like sitting back and watching it happen. I was like, you don't send your dick to people. You don't do it. You don't do it, especially when they're potentially, allegedly under the age of 18. I don't care that the state of Washington says that the age of consent is 16. All right. That only applies, I believe, until the age of 23 or something. There's like a 22, 23. It's like a 5-year gap you can have between the ages. Okay. It's not like 16 free for all. There's a law here. He's from Seattle. I live in Washington. I remember these laws from back in the day. They could have changed, but anyway, it doesn't even really matter. He's lost effectively a lot. I don't want to say everything because he has a little bit of an end. There's a little bit of a way out here from what I noticed, and it's not going to be good. It's not going to be good at all. Because he posted an update about 24 hours ago, and this is what he has to say. I'm going to go through it. He says, I'm deeply sorry to anyone who's seen the accusations, vitriol, or unwanted photos that my former partner Heidi and others may have been posting online since last Wednesday, May 8th, 2019. The truth is that Heidi and my marriage had been in a bad place for some time. I never wanted any of those details to become public, for obvious reasons. Both Heidi and my mental well-being, but they have, and the accusations being made now must be addressed. A few years ago, Heidi asked me if we could be in an open polyamorous marriage. I recognize now that this request and my willingness to go along with it was an unhealthy attempt to solve deeper issues that had developed within our marriage. Heidi has taken several casual partners and has been in a more serious relationship with other partners since 2017. Whether done to make her own actions feel justified or because she genuinely believed it would help me build self-esteem, Heidi suggested that I also engage with other women. Heidi encouraged me to tell Holly that I was developing feelings for her. When I did, things changed with Heidi. She became angry and vindictive, and she did not want me to see or speak with Holly anymore. She called me a cheater and claimed that I'd been destroying our marriage because of my affair. Even though she continued to have other relationships with other partners, I never wanted to destroy our marriage, and I've spent months doing what I could to repair it through couples therapy and extensive individual therapy. And that's a lot, isn't it? That's a lot right there. It goes on to say here, so those close to me have witnessed her behavior towards me on many occasions and have begged me to leave for some time. I was many things during this time, including embarrassed, scared, and broken, but I was never the abuser. I've made several attempts to leave, starting in October 2018, but each time she refused to let it happen, threatening to destroy my career or harm others if I left. Despite all of this, I tried to end things amicably. I helped Heidi find a new place to live and paid the initial deposits. I bought her a car to facilitate her independence. I formally filed for divorce on May 13th and have instructed my attorneys to make sure she receives her fair share of what I earned while we were together. I never wanted any of this to happen, but I finally realized that I have no other choice. And then he goes on to talk about more of the private stuff there. So a lot of people reacted very poorly to this. All I can really say is I'm glad he didn't put it on Tumblr. But anyway, this whole thing right here comes across to me as a massive, massive, massive deflection. Or it could be the absolute truth. I'm unsure what to believe here. I like to believe that people are intrinsically good, that we do make horrible mistakes, and that when that time comes, it is good to own up to them and not do them again. However, with what he's saying here, there's literally only one way for this to go, right? There's only one way for this to go. And that, of course, is he has got to out who Holly was with. That's the only way. If Jared wants to save himself in this controversy, to come out on top, he basically has to nuke his ex from orbit in regards to kind of like exposing who she's been with. And he's going to need his friends to come out and say, we saw this behavior firsthand. We've known about it for a while, and we've told him to leave. Because he says it's been going on for quite some time. He says that the people know about it, that people have seen it. But yet, as far as I can tell, there's been no one willing to stand up and offer any kind of support or defense for Jared. It does appear that everyone he knows has ultimately abandoned him. Now, if it comes to YouTube and YouTubers, makes absolute sense. They look at Peanut Butter Gamer and they think, ooh, we don't want what happened to him to happen to us, and so they keep quiet. Whether he's right or he's wrong, that is the dynamic of how this works. People will back away if it's a business-based decision. It's very interesting to see play out. It's very interesting. It's very interesting. But now this kind of opens everything up. What we had before was one-sided response to this. Jared being an abuser and a gaslighter, him, cheating on her being the good, dutiful wife. And now Heidi seems to be kind of backing off a little bit from it and doesn't want to confirm the details or deny really the details that he mentions here. So this puts it in a very precarious place. It puts him in a very precarious position, because what this says to me is that he's trying to essentially work around her and go, well, I might have been a douche, but she was doing it too. And then get her to either have to confirm it or deny it, and then kind of shift the spotlight. Now, if it's a smart play, it's a smart play, and it seems very manipulative. It really does. But that's the world we find ourselves in regards to the situation. When your divorce becomes one of the most talked about things in the internet, when it's hitting mainstream media is talking about this, then you know it's a situation where there's got to be some damage control. All things considered, and this is just true, this should have never been talked about publicly. This should have never been talked about publicly. I'm talking about the divorce. Whatever he did in regards to the allegations of soliciting photos, lewd photos or nude photos from underage individuals, those people need to go to the authorities with that information and present it. From what I can understand, no one's done that thus far. So I really question what's going on with that. If Normal Boots was given the information about Jared, presented with information to the point of where one of the managers is like, listen, you can't send this to us. We can't have any, we're destroying this evidence. Do not send any more of this to us. Then why hasn't anyone gone to the police and talked to them about it yet? Why hasn't anyone gone and filed a police report yet? Why hasn't there been any kind of paperwork? I'm not saying that hasn't happened. I don't know for certain. All I'm saying is there's things here that come across as being more of a saving one's ass versus actually trying to get to the truth. Because now this conversation has moved into the public spotlight. It's moved into the public spotlight. It's been there now for 10 days, and it's been very interesting to watch. This is one of the reasons why you don't air your personal shit. You just don't do it. You shouldn't do it. But people do it for some reason. And here we find ourselves in Jared's personal life. So at this point now, like I said, and to wrap it up, in order for him to kind of come out on top, he's basically got to release the information to prove his story. I mean, like, that's such a, I don't know, man. Like, I don't like any of this. It's not our place to know any of this. It's not our place to be involved in any of this. But again, this is a conversation, and I think it's such a douchey thing to do, to put this out there in the manipulative fashion that he did, because it's manipulative. And he put it out there in a way that's going to force him to have to release that information. And here's the thing. If he releases that information, she'll then release that information. Whatever else she's got on him, whatever more photos of him are going to come out, more photos of him that no one ever needs to see. And I don't ever want to see again. And that's the bad thing with this kind of situation. But Jared, the hell are you doing? Like, I get wanting to control the narrative. I understand that. I understand that desire. But this is not how you do it. This is not how you do it. This is why it's honestly never date a YouTuber. Never two people who are internet people should date each other unless they're already married or they have separate boundaries. But what it comes across to me is that they had a very interesting open relationship that's now being weaponized against both of them for the benefit of no one other than people who love to grab popcorn, sit back, sip their tea, spill it over and go, okay, what's next? Anyway, your thoughts, your opinions, let me know down in the comments below. I'll talk to you all later. Have a good one.